What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Quake 2. Now we gotta get out of here. So these two pistons are activated from that button, so we can just sort of hop up on there and that'll take us up to the next platform. This is really the only part in the game that's like this, where you have to find these interesting platforming ways of getting out of your environment. I mean, there's elevators and conveyor belts all over the place in this game, but nothing quite like that. It's easier to dodge gladiators around these corners like that. He dropped some railgun slugs. About time, too, since that's the weapon he's actually carrying. Yeah, we've been fighting him since long... Oh, look, the elevator's up there. Big surprise coming from this game. There we go. Yeah, if I haven't mentioned it before, I hate the elevators in this game. That's pretty much the only thing about it that I really don't like. Yeah, I don't want to jump in that stream just yet because I don't know if I'll be able to get back out. I'm pretty sure there might be an alternate path in this water right here, or there might just be some stuff down at the bottom. I'm not sure. Anyway, go ahead and save and then head down the stream. And my camera wants to tilt up this guy for some reason. Great, more gunners waiting to ambush us. So, a lot of these levels are starting to kind of run together, to be honest. So, I don't really have all that much to talk about anymore. So, I guess I can talk about something completely off topic from the game in this part, if you guys don't mind. I just got back from seeing The Avengers today. This is the day after it opened, here in the US anyway. And I gotta say, I was really pleased with it. It was a fun movie. But, being that it was the day after the opening night, it was packed. Like, this is probably the blockbuster movie of this year. Like, this movie probably made a ton of money, unless it's about to make more money. As you can see, we're back to the beginning of the level where I said we would not be able to exit from, so we have to exit down here. Anyway, about the Avengers, I liked that it was very tongue-in-cheek and it was very humorous, and it was almost a parody of itself with how little you could take it seriously at times, which is nice. And I like that they played up the Hulk for laughs a lot, because the Hulk is such a hard character to take seriously. He was mainly just there for comic relief. And but yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail, and I don't want to go into spoilers or anything, since at the time I'm uploading this video, it's going to be a brand new movie. But yeah, definitely go and see it if you like action movies, or if you like superheroes or anything. I mean, chances are you're going to go see this movie. I don't think many people are going to avoid it. But it could have been a total disaster with the kind of formula that it is, and it definitely isn't. Anyway, getting back to the game, now that we're actually something relevant to talk about here, we made it back to the previous area of this level, and we still can't get to the big gun, but since we went on that side of the level and we diverted the, I guess it's like the toxic waste or whatever. Oh, two berserkers, lovely. We can now go over to the area where we picked up that second BFG 10K and head to that other level that was over there, like I said before. So yeah, it's down here. And we can just jump right in. But I also picked up some games today. I just finished Binary Domain for the first time last night, and I actually quite like that game a lot more than I thought I was going to. If you listen to my most recent podcast, I said I was not enjoying it very much. But after beating it, I'm willing to play it a couple more times to see if it's willing to get an LP. Down here is kind of a tricky area because there's not a lot of room to maneuver because you're surrounded by all this acid. But if you jump over here, that berserker is completely helpless to get you without any ranged attacks. So don't even worry about it. You could shoot him to death with your blaster if you felt like it. He's completely helpless to do anything. Unlike in Quake 4, where they actually do have limited range attacks. I actually died quite a bit on this part before, so I'm going to definitely save right here. But like I said, I got some new games. I went up to Play and Trade and got a what do you call it? Buy two get one free used deal, and I got the I got Deus Ex 2 Invisible War, which I'm actually not able to play. I mainly just got it for collectability's sake because it's currently not backwards compatible with the 360, which is kind of lame because you know, I'd like to be able to play my collected games even if it is just for a collection, but maybe one day. Also, my computer's a Mac, so I can't play the PC version either, so no Invisible War for me, but I heard it's the least of the three games that it's the least good of the three. I don't want to say it's the worst, because worst is probably too strong of a word, but this little area has a little side path down here where you can fight these berserkers down here and blow them up with those exploding barrels if you're quick enough, but I think you can also hit some of those enemies up top there from down here if you wanted to, but obviously the more direct route would be the best. There's not really a whole lot of stuff down here aside from just, you know, stuff like health, so it's worth going down here for that much. I swear, every time I see these Iron Maidens, I can't help but think they are a light enemy just because of how, you know, small and humanoid they are. They're not these big, hulking, you know, mechanized super enemies like the gladiators or the berserkers or the tanks or whatever. But they are tough enemies. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have a medium to large enemy's level of health. And they have rocket launchers, so, you know, they are dangerous, but they just don't appear as dangerous because they're, you know, small and humanoid like the light enemies are. But aside from Deus Ex 2, I also got the original Max Payne as well, because Max Payne 3 is coming out pretty soon here, and I kind of forgot about that series, and so I wanted to get into it before, you know, while the first two are dirt cheap. So I'm gonna play through that, and I might also consider doing an LP for that because it is a third-person shooter, and I, you know how I love third-person shooters. But it's a pretty hard game, and the difficulty levels are pretty ridiculous in that game. It goes from easy straight to hard, and then the two difficulties are above that are unlockable, and they just make the game downright ridiculous. But I'll consider it. But yeah, like, it's an older game. It's a pretty hardcore game as well. Speaking of difficulty levels and older hardcore games, with this game though, I mentioned that this game has 3 difficulty levels, which it does. Oh, this part can be pretty tricky because of those 2 Iron Maidens down there. You might want to get out the railgun or the rocket launcher to try to hit them. If you're playing the PC version, you probably have a much easier time hitting them from this distance with the railgun. But the only part is this berserker right here. You want to lure him in here and take him out first. But you don't have a lot of room to dodge those Iron Maiden's rockets at all. But me, with the finicky controls of the Xbox version, I'm probably not going to be able to hit them with the railgun as well as I'd like to. So I'm just going to say screw it and just bum rush them with the rocket launcher. But I also got the original Xbox version of Half-Life 2. And despite the fact that I've already played Half-Life 2 to death because it's one of my all-time favorite games, I wanted to get that version just to sort of compare the differences, and I might make a version comparison video about it later on, just like I did for this game. And that's one of the things about my game collection is I don't want to have like a massive collection of games, but I would like to collect all the id Software games and all the Valve games as far as shooters go. So that means I've still got quite a few to go as far as id goes. Because I've still got to get the N64 version of Quake, and I've still got to get Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, what kind of id Software fan are you? You haven't played Return to Castle Wolfenstein. But, technically Return to Castle Wolfenstein is not a first-party id game, just for the record. But, speaking back to this game, I always like this particular part, this particular section right here, of all these linear hallways that sort of split off into these separate areas. I don't know, there's just something memorable about this part that I remember going through in the multiple runs through this game that made me just feel like it was earlier in the game than it really was. Because this is actually quite, in fact, pretty late in the game. I mean, well, actually, we're just over halfway through this LP, technically. Yeah, I don't have a lot of room to dodge that Gladiator's railgun, so I figured I'd back up. And I still get hit. Lovely. There we go. The first time I played the game, I just kind of didn't really know what to think about the Gladiators. They were just like, oh, it's just a big enemy, but knowing the range and potential of the railgun, it's like you kind of have to be ready to compensate for that. The railgun is such a different weapon in this than not the railgun. The gladiator is such a different enemy in this game than it is in Quake 4. But that's true with a lot of the enemies in this game. Actually, they just the fighting style for taking them on is much different. In fact, these guys right here, I don't think they're in Quake 4 at all. The Icarus guys. The railgun is very good at taking them out too, because you can hit them right out of the air, and your shot travels instantaneously and it instantly hits its mark, so you don't have to worry about your projectiles being easy to dodge, like with the rocket launcher or the hyper blaster. Although the hyper blaster is still pretty good against them too. God, I've so had it with these gunners. I want them to die so bad. You know, I got totally sidetracked there. I was going to talk about the difficulty levels for this game. Yeah, like I said, there's 3 difficulty levels, which is true. But I believe the nightmare difficulty for this game can only be accessed through a cheat code, and I have no idea what it is, or even if you can do that on this version. So as a result, I've never played this game on nightmare, which is probably going to be very disappointing to those of you who thought I was actually good at this game. But yeah, I, for one, have never played it on Nightmare, and never even known it's possible to play it on Nightmare on this version anyway. Believe me, I totally would if I could, but I didn't know if I could, so I won't. And plus, it would be a lot harder to play this one on Nightmare than would be the original PC version, because like I've said, I've complained time and time again about my sloppy shooting because of how much harder it is to aim with the lack of a mouse. But at least it's good enough to where, like I said before, we don't require an auto-aim feature like in Half-Life. Yeah, that room can also be pretty dangerous too, because of all the gunners in here. And that one gladiator as well. Like I said before, I just cannot stress enough how just crazy the game gets with like just throwing huge amounts of gunners at you in these encounters. But the final game I got was the Borderlands Game of the Year edition, because I've been thinking about checking out Borderlands for a while now, but I wanted to get it with all the DLC so I can play through all that, and I haven't played a lot of it so far. I was too tired to really focus on it when I first popped it in, so I was like, I'll worry about this later. I don't have the patience for this right now. But it looks like it could be pretty good. I might consider LPing it as well, just because I like the style of it a lot. But it seems like it's a pretty deep and lengthy game, and it also is very, very side quest heavy. Like, from what I've heard from the reviews and from what I've seen of the game so far, the main quest is pretty much crap, and the side quests are what make up the bulk of your playtime. And it's also a very co-op heavy game, so I might only consider doing it as a co-op game, but that's probably too overdone. So I really don't know. I mean, I might consider it, but I don't like, I'll probably never LP a pure RPG unless I find one that no one else has done well that I think I can pull off. It's because pure RPGs are a lot of work to LP, and to combine the pure RPG aspect and FPS aspect in Borderlands would just be a lot of work for that LP. So I'd have to know that I'd be able to do it really well. Oh, this is a close one right here. I almost got killed by that guy. And right when I think I've got my health up, they just knock it right back down again. And there's still like hardly any armor to be found. But yeah, as you guys know, I typically more so like to play linear shooters that are more combat based. I mean, I'm doing Deus Ex, which is one thing. And even Rage had some RPG elements to it, but I mean, Borderlands is such a different story. Like, I would never LP something like Fallout 3, for instance.